How's it going, guys? Jackson here with the Toasty Bros, and today I'm going to be building a $175 gaming PC. Hope you guys enjoy. So guys, I was thinking, what exactly makes you a good YouTuber? Many people just think about the hardware aspect of doing YouTube, such as your filming equipment, your actual system, your actual console, etc. Well, for one, you gotta have really cool hardware to be able to kind of get to a level that you can actually play games for people and make really good content as far as editing goes. You also have to have some software tricks up your sleeve. And that's just one of many reasons why Matt and I both use TubeBuddy. So TubeBuddy is actually a free extension that you can just go to the website right now and download on Chrome. It's not like just going into YouTube and looking into the analytics. This is like 8 million times better. And I'll tell you what, before I spend all day talking about it, why don't you guys just go check it out for yourself. So you guys heard me right, $175, and that's going to be including all of the actual hardware to make this system run. And then you guys might be wondering, how can I call it a gaming computer? Well, it's going to have an R9 380 in it. And then the heart of it's going to be a B95 from AMD, which is actually a 3 GHz 4-core processor that is overclockable on this motherboard we have. And we have a nice little liquid cooler to go with that is going to let us overclock this to who knows what type of limits, and hopefully be able to make this thing a complete monster for $175. So you guys saw this really cool A790 motherboard that's practically brand new, which is AM2 Plus / AM3. And right now we have that little tri-core processor seated in here from the last video where I tried to overclock it, see what type of specs I got with a 1070 in it, which obviously was way overkill for it. So now we have a little bit more of a comparable GPU to go with it, but also we have a much better CPU to go with it that's a lot more stably overclockable and will also get us much better performance. And then I was able to snatch this 128 gig Crucial SSD off eBay for 20 bucks. In an older system like this, when you want to put Windows 10 on it, I've kind of noticed having an SSD makes a tremendous difference in how the system performs. And one of the best parts of this deal is this $2 Insignia 400 watt power supply I got. I actually was able to get this from a place kind of like Goodwill. It's a St. Vincent de Paul's place where you can basically donate stuff to and then buy it really cheap. Someone donated this really cheap, and hopefully it works because I haven't even tested it yet. So this Rosewill FBM X1 is actually a eBay special, as you would call it. It's actually brand new, still in the box. It's considered a mini tower, and it was only $26.99, but it has a clear panel on it. I wanted something with a clear panel because for an additional $945, I was able to get an RGB LED strip. Now obviously this is kind of going into like the optional budget because you don't need RGBs for the system to run, and you also don't need an all-in-one liquid cooler to make the system run. But because we're going to be overclocking, I wanted something that looked cool and also kept the system cool. Here, check out the size of this case. This thing is very small on the inside. It's kind of interesting how they actually have the, I guess it's like the hard drive / CD drive cage as well, and it actually kind of overlaps a little bit where the motherboard actually goes in, so you kind of have to put it in at an angle if you have a micro ATX board. This will only fit up to micro ATX, so make sure you don't have a full-size ATX board if you're going to try this. So as you guys know, if you follow our videos, we have done a ton of these Xeon server processor builds, which if you really follow any of the big tech YouTuber channels, they do all kinds of Xeon builds because they are very, very good processors for the price that can be overclocked and have the type of performance of some of the newer i7s even. So I decided I was going to kind of mix it up a little bit and see if an AMD build that's kind of a throwback build with a really cheap processor under $20 can in a way keep up with a system like that. So I kind of figured, hey, why not see if an AMD processor can do something similar if we overclock the crap out of it if possible, and kind of go from there. Now you can pick these up between like $15 and $20. I paid about $17.99 for the one that we got. And they come clocked in at 3 GHz, they're 4 cores, they're the AM3 platform, not AM3 Plus. So one of my first kind of challenges was fitting the water cooler inside the case. This case doesn't have any central water cooling mount points to it per se, but it does have a spot for a 120mm fan that was in the front. And the 120mm water radiators typically have the same mounting points that the fans have, so if you put the fan on one side, you can actually mount the radiator through the case on the other side. So after I get the motherboard in the case and I get the liquid cooler mounted and everything, I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and pull out that Insignia power supply that I paid $2 for, right? So I pull the box out and I pull the power supply out, and well, it was just a like 200 watt power supply from a pre-built PC. So I was like, okay, great, that's already a little bit of a hurdle. Let's see if it works. So I put it in the case just thinking it's probably gonna work because it was donated, I'm sure it was tested. No, I plugged it in and it didn't work. So I'm like, you know what, okay. I got like 5 more of these power supplies out in my garage because I keep them in case I ever have anything like this come up, right? So I try another power supply, and then another one, and then another one. Oh, this one works. Oh, but the fan bearing's going out, so it's super loud. Okay, let's try another one. Once again, loud fan bearing. Let's try another one. Oh, this one works. Okay, get it mounted in, and then realize the 24 pin is not long enough to reach the 24 pin on the motherboard. So I'm like, great, this just keeps getting better and better. So at this point, I just had to settle. I had a 500 watt EVGA power supply sitting outside that was basically brand new. Usually they're like $30 to $40. I'm not counting that towards the budget just because you can get power supplies for free and cheap, like the one I was going to use in this build or the other like 5. Just none of them worked out right, so I really did have to use this one. So power supplies in and mounted now, thank goodness. And now we put the 128 gig Crucial SSD in there. I go ahead and throw those RGB lights in, which actually are a little bit longer than I thought they were going to be. They kind of go, in this case, a little bit past the very bottom, then you can kind of wrap them up too. So I'm like, okay, everything's going nice and good now. And then I get to the graphics card. So it turns out a full R9 380 does not fit at all into one of these mini ITX cases. Who would have thought, right? Obviously, this is something that I did not think about, and this is one of the treacherous parts of building PCs is you get a lot of things that do not want to fit together right, both software-wise and hardware-wise. That's why a lot of times PC building takes a lot more planning than some people would think. So yeah, if I had to do this all over again, I would definitely have gone with the single fan R9 380 because this thing actually does have just enough room to fit like a single fan full-size graphics card, but if you have dual fans, because of that big hard drive slash DVD drive cage, it completely blocks out anything unless it's like really low profile. And so then my last and final struggle, yeah, there's one more. I plugged the computer in and I'm not getting a display output. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, so I either have a dead graphics card or a dead processor or a dead motherboard. What's it gonna be this time, right? Well, the graphics card is a complete hassle to remove at this point. So I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and do the easiest thing first. So I actually kind of thought about it and I was like, you know what, RAM. I have had a dead stick of RAM before, or a stick of RAM that's not seated all the way actually give me a error like that not displaying video. And then of course lastly, Windows 10 was just deciding to be so difficult on installing in this SSD. But you know what, that's a software issue now, so I'm not too worried about it because I don't have to open up the computer 20 more times to get to stuff. So now that we have Windows 10 Pro installed, let's go ahead and get some games on it and do some benchmarks for you guys. Alright everyone, so the first game we're going to be testing is Fortnite, of course. So we are on medium/high settings at 1080p, and we're pretty much holding a constant 60 FPS except for like some minor dips to the, I would say like mid 50s range. And you know, every so often there is a lag spike or so, but the game is extremely playable and that's what's impressive. If you guys remember in the last video, we actually used a 1070 with the tri-core, and this game was not playable at all, like even on low settings really. So the fact that we're doing a 380, so we bumped the card down and we're actually running a 4-core now, and I managed to get it up to 3.3 gigahertz, which is just 0.3 over stock, and it's overclocked and it's sturdy. I benchmarked it, I stress tested it, and did not have any problems. So this is actually a fully working, you know, ready to go gaming PC. The next game that I decided to play was The Forest. So I'm actually just playing with the settings completely maxed out, 1080p, and let me just say, this game ran really smooth. You can see we're actually getting a little bit over 60 FPS constantly, so this game's known for having really good graphics. Obviously it's known for being pretty well optimized now because you can play it on a lot of lower end systems, especially if you lower the settings, and it'll play really smooth. But the fact that we're actually able to play with it maxed out on this $175 gaming PC is just really impressive. So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one.